Okay, 8. Knowing how to stick fight means we know how to knife fight. They call this a lie. Okay, there are lots of similarities, but there are also many subtle differences. However, a trained stick fighter is going to be way ahead of an untrained knife fighter when they have a knife fight. This will be especially true in how quickly a trained stick fighter can be trained to be a skilled knife fighter. The biggest differences will be contact distances, the safe area stick fighters have at ultra close quarters versus someone with a knife, and that stick fighters operate their weapons well outside of the box. Okay, so those are the big differences. I mean, you know, usually I'm picking different targets, usually I'm attacking them in a different fashion, and usually I have a longer interval when I'm fighting the guy, and when I get in real tight, I'm safe. Those are the big differences with stick fighting and knife fighting. Okay, but in general, am I used to using a weapon in my hand? Am I used to using a weapon in my hand? Yes, I'm very used to using a weapon in my hand. Am I probably going to be effective with a weapon in my hand no matter what weapon it is? Yes, I'm probably going to be pretty effective. Versus a guy who doesn't know any.
Yeah.
So, you know, it doesn't mean we're a knife fighter expert, but it certainly means we're a lot further down the road on knowing how to knife fight than somebody who never studied stick fighting or knife fighting. So, you know, and again, you know, the zones on defense are the same. It's just you got a shorter stick. That's all. That's the main difference. It's a shorter stick, and it's a more deadly stick. That's all. I don't really consider that a lie. Okay, so now knowing Kali makes us a knife fighter. Okay, so same thing as the last one. I don't know why they have both these in there. Similarly above, however, if we are a highly trained Kali fighter against a punk with a knife, our skill will overcome all the will the punk can muster. So again, you're a trained collie guy, and you know, you've done the hand-to-hand stuff with the collie, you've done the stick stuff with the collie. Now a guy comes at you with a knife, and you have a knife. The odds say that you're going to be the better knife fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, where did this punk who's coming up to get his $20 so he can go score, you know, some drug his fix for the afternoon? What are his skills? Come on, guys, what are his skills? He ain't got no skills. Of course, the collie guy is going to have a huge knife fighting advantage against this guy. You know what I mean? I can't even tell you how wide the chasm is going to be.
Right.
It's going to be huge. Okay. So they're saying that's a lie. Knowing Kali makes us a knife fighter. Yes, as a matter of fact, it does make you a knife fighter. Versus everybody else out there, it gives you a huge advantage. You know what I'm saying? How can you say that doesn't give you an advantage?
I don't know, who wrote these?
I don't know if it's McYoung or if it's freaking
because I thought you wrote.
And I love McYoung. He makes a lot of sense. But sometimes he just goes too far. Because he's in his world. He's looking at it from his world as a you know, world-class knife fighter. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everybody out there is not a world-class knife fighter. Just because you are a world-class knife fighter, you can't then assume that everybody else is a world-class knife fighter. You know, right. You have to step out of your shoes and into their shoes. The shoes of the average man, his knife fighting skills are below that of the average guy who's a Kali fighter.
Yeah.
You know, who's attained an upper belt. You know what I'm saying? That's what you have to do. You can't be in your shoes, expert knife fighter. Here's a Kali guy, upper belt. He doesn't know how to knife fight compared to me. It's not you that he's going to be knife fighting. You're going to avoid the freaking fight in the first place because you're Mark McYoung. You know what I'm saying? You're not even going to look for it. You're going to have a million ways out of this thing. You're not going to let it escalate there because that's what you work on. That's your system. That's all your stuff. You keep it from getting there. It's not going to get there. So you got to step out of your shoes and step into the reasonable man's shoes. Let's say, for legal, to throw a legal term out there. You know, what's the average guy like? The average guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing with a knife in his hand compared to a knife fighter, or even a guy who's only studied Kali most of his life, or for 5 years. Okay, grappling with a knife. You do not grapple with a knife. This is a lie. I don't know exactly what the lie is. It says grappling with a knife lie. While empty hand fighting might easily turn into an endurance marathon, where size, strength, physical shape, and ability to endure punishment significantly influence the outcome of an altercation, that is not applicable to weapons work. On the ground, our ability to use footwork and positioning are drastically reduced. and we are greatly overexposed to knives. So again, you know, anybody who teaches you a disarm where you go to the ground, okay, is a complete effing moron who knows nothing about knife fighting. Okay, I mean, I can't say that harshly enough. I really can't say it harshly enough. Anybody who's teaching you to go to the ground to do a disarm, I'm trying to calm down a second here. That person needs to be in a knife fight with a thug.
Yeah.
Who has experience with the Folsom Prison knife fighting system.
Yeah.
That's what that person needs. We need to cull this person from the herd. That's what I'm saying. I mean,
just get him out of there.
And I'm trying to be calm and be nice about what I'm saying. This person needs to be culled from the martial arts community. Okay? Now, might you have to try to do some knife fighting while you're on the ground? Yes, you might have to. Okay? But that should only be really looked at by a guy who's an expert knife fighter and an expert ground fighter. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we will look at knife fighting when we go through the hand-to-hand class when we're doing horizontal grappling. That's what I call horizontal grappling. Because you can grapple vertically also. So anyways, once you're on the ground, your footwork is pretty much gone. Again, unless you're an expert ring ground fighter, which would mean you've wrestled at the high school level for several years and had a winning record, and or you have an upper belt in a jiu-jitsu school that focuses on ground fighting, i.e. Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and again, you've been successful in competitions. You've won a couple times at least against somebody. I mean, the reason I say this is because I've met upper belts in martial arts schools who couldn't fight their way out of a freaking wet paper bag. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, they know all the techniques.
They know the motions.
They know all the techniques. They can tell you what this is, what that is. They can show you all that type of stuff. But when they get into combat, it just falls apart.
Yeah.
It falls apart. They just don't have the physical ability for it. And they're never gonna. And so, you know, there's no guarantee that going through these classes is gonna make you a master fighter. I mean, some people, you know, it's just never gonna happen for them. It's unfortunate. You know, they really want to. They work hard at it. But sometimes it's their focus is wrong. You know, their focus is wrong. And again, they're that guy that's gonna look for the biomechanical cut every time. You know? Always going to try to shoot a warning shot in the air first.
Right, they're not willing to do what's necessary.
Yeah, they're not willing to do what's necessary. They just never got the mindset portion of this thing down. They didn't want to accept it. Okay. So anyways, grappling with a knife is a lie. I mean, you don't want to do it. And again, we saw how it worked out when you had the gun and I had the knife. You know, we went to the ground, and I mean, the best thing you're going to look for is a bad tie. That's the best thing you're looking for, is a bad tie when you get on the ground against a guy who has a knife. So the best thing you're going to do is get a bad tie, which means, I can't even say it. I mean, what are you going to do grappling to kill this guy?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whereas what this guy's going to do when he nicks you in the right area. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're trying to choke him out or knock him out before he gets a nick on one of your arteries. What you're trying to do.
Yeah.
It's not a game to play when you're on the ground and you have no mobility. Now again, some of these great guys, they're going to have mobility there. They're going to actually be able to run around and spin around and beat you wherever you try to stab that knife. But these are the highest, I mean, world-class guys out there. This isn't you and me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I was pretty high up there at one time, but I still wouldn't want to really, back in my day I probably would. I'm an idiot. You just don't want to grapple against a knife.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's no way. You don't want to take the time to disarm this guy. You want to knock him out if you don't have a knife and get away. Those are your two priorities. Knock him out or get away. You know, if you do have a knife, what in the hell do you want to be on the ground for? I just can't imagine why you would want to be on the ground with a gun. You know, it's just the loss of mobility is the biggest problem.
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. You're always going to be in his reach. You know, again, unless you're just a huge expert. Okay, and what's this last one? Again, on the ground, our ability to use footwork and positioning are drastically reduced, and we are greatly overexposed to knives. That's the problem with grappling with a knife. Okay, and the knife is an extension of our hand. This, I just don't buy that this is a lie. That's what the knife is. It's an extension of our hand.
Yeah.
Now, it is a whole hell of a lot more dangerous than our hand? Yeah, it is. Are there certain little things we might want to do different with our hand than we would do with a knife? Yeah, there are.
Aren't you supposed to treat all weapons like an extension of your body? And
That's the way I look at it. It's a part of you're a weapon group.
Yeah.
And this just happens to be the working end of it at that point. You know, I mean. So the knife, I say similar to line number 9. What was line number 9? That was our Kali guy. Again, yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is. It's an extension of our hand. It's a whole hell of a lot more dangerous. But other than that, I'm not buying that. It's. I don't know.
What else does it say?
I don't know what that lie. That's it. I think.
No,
Do I have more down?
I don't know.
Oh well, we have another. We have another lie though. Okay, so I just can't buy that. To me, it's the same thing as a Kali thing. You know how to use your hand well, and all of a sudden you put a knife in your hand. Well, you know how to use your hand well. You know, let's take a boxer with a great jab.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a boxer with a great jab. Well, you know how to use your hand well. Okay. Now you have a knife in there. Well, what do you really got to do? Move and stick. Move and stick.
Yeah. You're
You're probably going to win the knife fight. I mean, now you know you do have a little range to go there. Maybe the guy can cut your hand. That's a problem. But in general, if you're a highly trained boxer, and again, we're not talking about you're only going to be in there against Mark McYoung. We're taking the average guy in the street. All of a sudden, he has a knife and he has some reason he wants to cut you.
Yeah.
You pissed him off at the sports bar. He wants to rob you because it looks like you have money. You know, he mistaken you for the guy that raped his wife and was supposed to get out of prison this month. You know, I mean, anything can happen. You're just an average guy. I mean, that's just an average guy with a knife, and you're a trained boxer. Now you have a knife in your hand.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to dance around this guy and keep that knife in his face? Probably so. So again, it's a lie if you're an average guy. The knife in your, it's still going to make you much more. If you know how to use your hand, it's just, you know, I don't know. Maybe I don't understand where they're coming from in that one there. The knife fighter. The biggest differences will be contact distances, the safe area stick fighters have at ultra close quarters versus someone with a knife, and that stick fighters operate their weapons well outside of the box. Okay, so those are the big differences. I mean, you know, usually I'm picking different targets. Usually I'm attacking them in a different fashion. And usually I have a longer interval. Okay, 8. Knowing how to stick fight means we know how to knife fight. They call this a lie. Okay, there are lots of similarities, but there are also many subtle differences. However, a trained stick fighter is going to be way ahead of an untrained knife fighter when they have a knife fight. This will be especially true in how quickly a trained stick fighter can be trained to be a skilled. Now, knowing Kali makes us a knife fighter. Okay, so same thing as the last one. I don't know why they have both these in there. Similarly above, however, if we are a highly trained Kali fighter against a punk with a knife, our skill will overcome all the will the punk can muster. So again, you're a trained Kali guy, and you know, you've done the hand-to-hand stuff with the Kali, you've done the stick stuff with the Kali. Now a guy comes at you with, it doesn't mean we're a knife fighter expert, but it certainly means we're a lot further down the road on knowing how to knife fight than somebody who never studied stick fighting or knife fighting. So, you know, and again, you know, the zones on defense are the same. It's just you got a shorter stick. That's all. That's the main difference. It's a shorter stick, and it's a more deadly stick. That's all. I don't really consider that a lie. Okay, so now when I'm fighting the guy, and when I get in real tight, I'm safe. Those are the big differences with stick fighting and knife fighting. Okay, but in general, am I used to using a weapon in my hand? Am I used to using a weapon in my hand? Yes, I'm very used to using a weapon in my hand. Am I probably going to be effective with a weapon in my hand no matter what weapon it is? Yes, I'm probably going to be pretty effective. Versus a guy who doesn't know any.
Yeah.
So, you know,